Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Sports Desk Show. I am Payton on the radio, and I am with SteelFlyers as we have tons of stuff to talk about here in this show. As we're going to be talking about Jokic winning his first MVP award in the NBA. We're also going to be talking about Rudy Gobert and tons of hockey stuff as the Islanders were able to get past the Bruins, and also we're going to be talking about the finalists for the Hart Trophy in the NHL. We got tons of stuff to talk about, and welcome, Steel. This is going to be a fun show. We got tons of playoff hockey.
Oh man,
Baseball.
this is the best time of the year almost, right? Because playoff hockey, right? And then you'd almost have to parlay that into NBA playoffs, right?
Yep.
The Major League Baseball is in full swing. Okay, like for the first time in a little over a year, we actually have full sports during the times that they're supposed to be happening.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So, and we actually are getting fans in the stands. So that is what makes it even more amazing. That's why I think this NHL playoffs has been ratcheted up to another level that I don't think that we've seen for a very, very, very long time.
It
With the
feels
fans coming
different.
back, and it does, right? See?
It feels very different watching just about any sport. Like I was watching baseball the other day for the Toronto Blue Jays. An amazing
Yeah.
kid named Alec Manoah made his debut, and his family was up in the stands, and his mom was just going nuts for his kid playing baseball. And it was the best
Exactly.
thing out of the entire game was the kid pitching, and then the mom. Every inning, they had a shot of the mom cheering on her son,
Yeah.
and
See, that's what
I
it's
don't
supposed
think
to
you would
be.
be able to get some of that stuff when we were stuck in COVID. And if a kid were able to debut, he wasn't able to have his family there to, celebrate him being in the NHL, NBA, whatever it may be. So it is really nice to start seeing fans in those stands, especially the Islanders games.
Exactly. And that's going to be the other thing too, where the NHL announced that the Canadian government and the United States government is going to relax the rule
Mm.
to allow for the Canadian teams to travel back and forth to the United States and vice versa, allow the United States teams to travel back and forth to Canada for the playoffs for this coming season. So that is a huge announcement as well too. And I know you were
Yeah.
saying that that's going to open up the doors, for some of the other Canadian teams like the Blue Jays and the Raptors and that kind of stuff to be able to do some of more traveling. And now that things are starting to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think a lot of like the Toronto Blue Jays and the Toronto Raptors would probably like to play from home and play in their home arena, and not even just that, to show like the new talent that they pick up there, what Toronto is all about in the home city there. So once they're able to get back into the dome and everything, it's going to be so much fun to see them back in there. So let's get on to the top stories here today. As right off the get go, we're going to be talking about Nikolai Jokic, who won his first MVP award in the NBA. This season, he was just absolutely nuts, almost posted a triple double. He actually had a double double. He had 26.4 points per game, 10.8 rebounds, and 8.3 assists, and was a big player for the Denver Nuggets. And the reason why they're right now in the second round going up against the Suns,
Jeez.
which we'll talk about later on in the show. This guy
That's
was
his
also drafted.
averages.
Yeah, that's his averages, and he averaged a double double, which is just absolutely insane. And not even just that, this guy was a 41st draft pick into the NBA 7 years ago, and this was the lowest draft pick to ever win the
Wow.
award, which
Wow.
is just unheard of for the NBA. Now, there's also not very many center that win this award. The last time that
True.
a center won this award was Shaq.
Yeah.
Big old Shaq won this award, and that was the last time a center won this. So
Wow.
great accolades for Jokic there.
That's awesome. I remember when he first came into the league, and everybody was like, "Oh, wow, this guy from Serbia, Croatia was like, yeah, okay, he's playing pretty good." And it was like, yeah, and he just got progressively better every year,
Hmm.
every year, every year. And I thought that maybe he might have been. He wasn't maybe in the running last year, but I think he was in at least the top five in consideration
Yeah.
for this award last year. You know what I mean? So to see him win this award, that's great. That's great to see the NBA acknowledge this player for what he did, because seriously, a double-double average for the
Almost
year.
a triple.
I mean, almost a
triple-double.
triple. I mean, okay, to average that for the year, winner in my book.
I think so too. I heard LeBron was winning the MVP award a while ago, but honestly, looking at Jokic and even the way that he's been playing for the Nuggets in the playoffs, he without a doubt deserves that MVP. And congrats to that man.
Exactly, and it hasn't quite been there quite for LeBron this year with AD missing a lot of time, you know what I mean, and it's been a little bit hurtful there in LA too. So it hasn't been all that good for LeBron this year. So that's really great to see, Jokovic win this. So that's cool, man. I like to see that. Awesome sauce, man. You know, speaking of some awesome sauce in the next award, we got the Defensive Player of the Year here from those previously mentioned Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert wins Defensive Player of the Year, man. All right, congratulations.
Yeah, another Defensive Player of the Year for Rudy Gobert. Won it back in 2018 and 19 before Giannis won last year. He got 84 out of the 100 first place votes, which totaled out to be 464, which beat out Ben Simmons, who was second with 287. So without a doubt, Gobert deserved this award by a mile. And he'll be taking the Defensive Player of the Year. Without a doubt, he was playing alongside of Mitchell with the Utah Jazz. They were one of the best teams in the NBA this year, and they're looking pretty deadly going up against the Clippers in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, Utah's been looking really good this year. They had a really good year, especially defensively, too, with being able to shut down some of those teams, especially in the West, you know, where I think that's been where more of the competition has come from, let's say, you know, because now that LeBron is out West, you know, it seems to be tilted a little bit more to the West side now, because Cleveland's not really relevant anymore. Even when Kawhi left Toronto, now Toronto's not really, you know, all that relevant anymore now. You know what I mean? And so you had some guys that moved from Houston up to Brooklyn, and so it's still kind of leaning a little bit to the West, though. So.
All right. Well. The next story, the Indiana Pacers, they fired their head coach, Nate Bjorkgren, after only one season as head coach there. The Indiana Pacers, they just did not have the year that they were imagined, placed ninth, 34 and 38. From what I was hearing from Adriano Wojnarowski, they were looking for more of an experienced coach. Now, I do know Nate Bjorkgren. He was the assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors, but then he left to go to Pacers. Did not have the best year. They lost in the play round against the Wizards. Just not the greatest year, but definitely, I feel like this is very unheard of, just to fire a coach just after one season and you're not really able to, I don't know.
I mean, the guy won a championship the year before with the Raptors, right? So why most coaches at least get, I mean, enough rope for, you know, 2 or 3 years at least. You know what I mean? I mean,
well, who knows? Maybe something was happening in the background or something with maybe him and the GM, and they just weren't getting along. Maybe they just didn't have the same outlook on the team. And maybe they just, because they're looking for maybe someone more experienced. Maybe they're looking to still maybe make it into the playoffs.
I mean, obviously finishing ninth in the conference is not, you know, where you want to finish. No. You know what I mean? But Indiana has not really been, you know, one of the top tier teams. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect a guy to go there with not having top tier team, not having top tier talent. You know, do the Pacers even have any max contracts on their?
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. So if you don't even have any max contracts on your roster, then it's going to be tough to compete. It really is, especially in this NBA. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to fire a guy like that. Look, I have a feeling he's probably going to get picked up somewhere. He'll probably be a
Oh yeah.
coach somewhere. You don't win a championship with a team and then suddenly, not be relevant anymore. So, all right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that? Gosh,
It's weird. I don't
best
think
of
we've
luck
ever
for the
really seen it.
future.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever really seen something like this in hockey before. But talking about hockey, let's get on to the hockey headlines, eh?
Ooh, there you go. How about that? So I know that you mentioned about having the finalists mentioned for the Hart Trophy, and they've been actually mentioning the finalists for all of the trophies now as it's been
Yeah,
coming out. Okay.
yeah.
They've done the Vesna, they've done the Norris.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did the Selkie too.
I don't think they've got to the Selkie yet, but I know they did the Masterton. I
And
know they
yeah,
did
yeah, the
a couple other
Masterson, and they
words.
did the Vesna.
Yeah, they did the Vesna. They also did the Calder, I think, as well
Yeah, yeah, they
with
did the Calder as well too,
Kaprizov,
right?
Nedeljkovic, and Robertson. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. So they did that, and then now the Hart Trophy is obviously the finalists are now for that. And last night, what an amazing, amazing game by the New York Islanders to eliminate the Boston Bruins. The score was 6-2, and quite honestly, that really was kind of the feel of the game. The
Yeah,
New York
it was.
Islanders just came out and just utterly took over the game and then dominated the game. And it didn't matter that Boston came back and scored those two goals. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it was. Islanders just seemed like when Barry Trotz gets them in that system and they get going, they seem to be unstoppable, and that's the way that they were. The Bruins kind of got, I don't know, caught up in the wind of the playoffs and got distracted, and I felt like that's what happened with Cassidy a lot. With him getting fined and everything, I felt like he just got kind of caught up in the wind, and the team kind of followed
Yeah.
with, and it just kind of went quickly downhill. And the Islanders, just with the way that they're a great playoff team. And I think we've seen that with a lot of playoff teams over the past 2 years, that if you build your roster with a playoff, with the intention of being a good playoff team, you might be able to make it to Stanley Cup Finals. We've seen it with the Dallas Stars. We've seen it with the Montreal Canadiens this year. And we keep seeing it relentlessly with the New York Islanders that, if you put a strong team that, has some gritty players, like you guys have been doing with that Warrior mentality series, if you get some big old Warriors on that team that also help your team out in the end, could be some very useful players to make it to the conference finals, cups, whatever.
I mean, all you have to do is look at Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is go back and look at the last, what, 5 or 6 Stanley Cup champion winning teams.
Mm-hmm.
They were all physical, tough, hard hitting teams. Chicago. I mean, you can go back to the Chicago teams. You can go back to even the Pittsburgh teams, right? St. Louis. St. Louis was an all out, hit you in the face, drag out type of physical team when they
Mm-hmm.
won the cup. You know what I'm saying? And Tampa Bay did the same thing. They went out and did exactly the same thing, and they're doing it exactly the same in this year's playoffs as well. In the first 4 games of the Florida series, Florida and Tampa Bay,
Mm-hmm.
the first 4 games, 342 hits. That's in the
It was
first
unbelievable.
series. That's the first series of games between Florida and Tampa Bay. I mean, that's that's a number of hits for an entire team for the year.
That is insane. Usually you maybe you see about maybe 60 hits a game, maybe even a bit less. You might even see like 30, 40 in that game sometimes. And to hear that amount of hits, and I mean, a lot of these playoff games, there's been a lot of physicality. You look at those hits numbers, you're like, what, 60 for that team, or almost 100? You're like, wow, that is insane. And these playoffs have been ever entertaining. Make sure to tune into tonight's game. Colorado versus Vegas. I know our boy Off the Wall Hockey. I think he's going to be doing that game
I
tonight.
haven't talked to him lately, so I won't until, because I talk to him on Fridays when we do our off the wall hockey show.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna let it go until then. I'm just gonna give him
Oh,
the space.
yeah.
Because I watched
If
some
you
of the
checked
stream
out,
last night. Yeah, I was checking some of the stream out last night, and well, we're just gonna give John some space. I think that would be the best move for everybody involved. But yeah,
yeah,
no, the fact that Boston basically just let the Islanders take the game over, they didn't have enough pushback. They were basically, I mean, I hate to say this, but they were standing around watching.
yeah,
Like a
they
lot of
were.
their guys, they were just standing around. They weren't making the plays that they were making in the first series against Pittsburgh.
I feel really bad for Charlie McAvoy, to kind of talk about him a little bit. He was being bruised and beaten, and Kyle Palmieri with the bounce back hits all the time on him. He was getting beaten up, and
Yep.
his defense was just not there to back him up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the coach of Boston came out and said something. I mean, he was even fined $25,000 for coming out and criticizing the referees for
Hmm.
not making those calls. Okay. And that's the other thing too, is that in these playoffs, man, the whistles they've either called every single nook and cranny, or they've just put the whistles in their pockets and haven't called a thing. You know
Yeah,
what I
like the Carolina Nashville series, like one or two of those games, it was like every penalty being called, and then the Edmonton Oilers Winnipeg series, there was like one penalty called the entire game. It's like these refs are very inconsistent, but even in on the numbers from what I was hearing, like the penalties being called to the Islanders compared to the Bruins were very close. I think it was about 15-11 for the Islanders. So it wasn't a big discrepancy, but there was no penalties being called in this game, especially on like the little hits on McAvoy where you'd even have the puck. It was weird, but no matter what, even if the Islanders, even if even if they did call those penalties, I don't think it would have really mattered in the end for the Bruins. They weren't scoring anything on their power
No,
play, and their PK was just not as good as what they wanted it to be.
no. And the Islanders basically just kept them to the outside and didn't allow them to get their top line rolling. Like,
Hmm.
they kept the top line to the outside. They didn't allow them really good quality shots or chances.
Yeah.
And then once you get past that, line for Boston, then it's the offense significantly drops off
Hmm.
once you get past that line,
Yeah.
right? So it was a lot harder. Now Hall was able to add, but he was completely stifled. Varlamov had his number last night. Every
Yeah.
shot that he threw at Varlamov, he saved every one. All right. Good on you. I mean, it was a great game, though. And it just goes to show you that now this is the second year in a row that the New York Islanders are
Yeah.
moving on to the conference finals, I guess it's called now, or
Facing Tampa Bay again. We'll have to see how well they do. So let's move on to the next one. It's going to be a fun one. I cannot wait as we have the Hart Trophy finalists, Nate McKinnon, Austin Matthews, and Connor McDavid. I think we already know who's going to most likely bring home the Hart Trophy. I think we did do a video on this, and we all said McDavid, and I feel like unanimously it probably will be McDavid bringing home the Hart Trophy, but
yeah,
this is pretty cool to see McKinnon up there and also Matthews getting a nomination as well. So well
yeah.
deserved to those guys because they played hell of seasons.
I agree. I mean, Matthews with over 40 goals.
Hmm.
And he only played like what? I think he only matched out at 39 games, I think he played, or something like
No,
that.
I think it was about
Or was it
50 or
40?
something like that.
Was
Because I
was
think he
it,
only
maybe it
missed a
was only
couple of
40.
games.
Well, I know he missed a couple there. I wasn't sure how many games he played of the 56.
Oh,
Maybe he
52.
played. Oh, he did play
52.
52. All
Yeah.
right. So, and he scored what? 41 goals?
Yeah. 41 goals. Yeah.
41 goals. Hey,
It's not
good.
bad.
I'll take that. Can I
I
have that
would.
on my team? Yeah, can I have that on my team? Jeez Louise. You know what I mean? McKinnon, yeah, that guy there is just, and what he's been able to do in the playoffs this year with Colorado has just been amazing.
Hmm.
And he has been unstoppable. There's nothing that he hasn't been able to do with the puck on his stick.
I'm hoping we could see him fire up a little bit in tonight's game against Vegas because he has been a bit cold over the past little bit.
Last two games,
ever since game one, where he absolutely exploded, and now he's just been pettered out and
yeah.
hasn't been the hottest player.
Woo, I have to tell you now, Colorado is the only team I got hanging on my bracket
Hmm.
because I
Yeah,
actually, right, because I actually picked them to win the cup.
same
Right.
here.
So, okay. So if they lose this series to Vegas, which they very well could, because game 6 is going to be in Vegas. Okay.
Hmm.
And they're already, it's what, 3-2 Vegas leading the series right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is elimination time here, and Colorado needs to put it together, right? And they need to
Yep.
win the next two games, or they're going to be playing golf.
Yep. They might be playing golf here soon. So we'll get on to one of our last headlines here. As the NFL wants to hold games in Germany as they seek out a partner city, which is pretty exciting. Now, they did have some games being played there in London. Some interest was being shown in Germany as Germany fans were traveling all the way to London, which is pretty dedicated fans, to say the least. It's a pretty long trip. So they're going to be hosting some games in Germany, boost the strong NFL fan base, which, I mean, NFL is already as big as you could possibly get, but they are looking to get it bigger. So this is a huge sign for the NFL, looking to get some more international play and get some regular season games in Germany.
Now, last year they had games that were scheduled for Mexico City,
Hmm.
but because of COVID and everything, they canceled all those games.
Yeah.
Okay, but the year before, in 2019, they played a game in Mexico City, and then they've also played games as well in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's really kind of amazing is that they have never really approached Canada
I
to
think they
play
had
in
a while
Canada.
ago. I think there was a little bit of a story talking about how they were going to try to do Canada, but I didn't
I
look too
mean,
much into it.
I get it because Canada has their own, Canadian Football League and all that, but you already pretty much have the fields there, or they're just a bigger field. So maybe that's why. I don't know. I don't know because the fields are wider and bigger in Canada than they are in the United States. So I don't know.
I don't know. It could be the fact that we do have our own league in the CFL, which will be starting up here very soon. I heard some news that they're going to be signing something to start the year in August. So that'd be pretty
Okay.
big news for them.
Okay, that's awesome.
And then, yeah, so it's going to be good to push out there more into the European area and get some games in Germany. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that is all our headlines for today's show. Is we're going to be heading into the scoreboards. But before we head into the scoreboards, we have a little word from our sponsors. But before we get into that, make sure you pull out all your dogs and put them in front of in front of your monitor right now, because we're going to have a commercial to excite them.
Yes. But first, I want to get into one quick little thing here, too, before we get
Hmm.
into that. I do want to make a quick couple little announcements for one. The NFL is going to allow teams to be at their home training camp facilities for this year.
Awesome. That
Okay.
is amazing here.
Right. So the teams are right now. Most of the teams are in their second week of OTAs,
Hmm.
and so they will be able to go to their normal training camp facilities for this season, and it's going to be a normal, regular season as far as the games are going to be scheduled for normal. The preseason is going to go off like normal. They're going to have the Hall of Fame game is going to go off like normal. And also the fact that they're going to have fans in the stands.
That's awesome.
Okay,
They had
because
uh they had the Super Bowl going all good last year, so it's good to hear that they should be going back into a normal full swing here for the NFL.
yeah, exactly. And that's the exciting part about it too. You know what I mean? Is that they're going to have full training camps. They're going to have full preseasons. They're going to have, full regular season, things of that nature too as well. So that's going to be really exciting to see that all back, and with fans at full capacity, or stadiums going to be at full capacity as well too. So that's the other really good thing as well too, because that bodes well for, not just the teams, but the people that work at the stadiums, the people that do the concessions, the people that do that sell the programs, the people that sell the T-shirts, the people that serve the hot dogs, all that stuff, the people that clean the stadium after you leave, that's all part of it, and having all the people back in the stadiums is what keeps all that stuff rolling. And that's what's going to make it even more exciting for the AHL, now for the NHL, for professional football, and also for college football as well too. So that's going to be exciting to get back more to a more normal type of situation. So for sure. And now we can have a word from our sponsor. So check out CCC Resorts on the web at www.cccresorts.com. They take care of all your spa needs, all your grooming needs, even pool time. Check them out. They're also on Facebook. They have an outdoor pool that's ready to go. All you have to do is give them a call, schedule the time, and be out there and have your dog swimming. It's a great opportunity to do that. So check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. We'll be right back after this. From the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations, both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. SteelFlyers stands behind this company 100%. They've taken care of SteelFlyers Furry Friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The SteelFlyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for the people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out our sponsor, www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on the web. Also, check them out on Facebook. They take care of all of your spa needs and even pool time. Give them a call or check them out on the web. Now we're going to get into the scoreboard, and we got a lot of scores to get into. So lead us off there, Mr. Payton.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to be getting right into the NBA playoffs, and we're going to start off with a little bit of the Tuesday's games as we got the Atlanta Hawks versus the Philadelphia 76ers as the Sixers. They took the victory 118-102 as the series is tied back up at 1. Trae Young went absolute baller in game 1, and Joel Embiid was a mad dog in this game, putting up 40 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists as he really just put the Sixers on his back. The one problem is, though, can Ben Simmons get himself going? Only having 4 points in the game, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. We know we talk about this guy as a big defensive guy, but he has not been a big contributor points-wise for the 76ers teams, and especially going up against a Hawks team where you got Trae Young and Gallinari, and he needs to be that guy that puts up 20 points a game and is able to be that big producer for the 76ers, because right now he's not, but they did tie the series up at 1, so that is a very positive outlook for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers won the East division this year. They went in as the number 1 seed. So with the Atlanta Hawks coming out and beating them in the first game, I mean, that was kind of like a punch in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So with Philadelphia coming out and putting a pretty big stamp on this game, 118-102, that's a pretty significant number of points. You know what I mean? If Philadelphia can continue with their domination of the East like they have this year, they should be able to take care of the series. Now, they only play the best of 5 for the first round, correct?
I think it was actually maybe. I can't exactly remember. I think it was actually a best of 7. Let me double check.
Okay. Couldn't remember for sure on that, if that was a best of 5 for the first round in basketball or not. I can't remember.
No, yeah, it's best of 7.
Okay, best of 7.
I think you're getting mixed up because of the play-in rounds. I think there was a bunch of play-in rounds that they did this year for the NBA. So your 9th and 10th seed actually made it into a play-in round against the 8th and 7th seed. So a little bit of a different thing from the NBA this year, but cool to see that. So let's get into the next game, eh?
Okay, so that would be the Los Angeles Clippers with a loss to the Utah Jazz, and now the Jazz lead the series 1-0. This was the first game. So, and Utah Jazz really playing well out west too, being one of the top teams out there.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell put up a huge night, 45 points on the night. He's really just been excelling as a superstar there for the Utah Jazz, and as a guy that I think if you're an NBA guy, you probably know who Donovan Mitchell is, because he has just been putting his name around everywhere. Now, this is a pretty big series as well, because they're going up against the Clippers. You got Kawhi Leonard there, who is, Defensive Player of the Year before. He's been an NBA champion multiple times, both with the Spurs and with the Raptors. You also have Paul George there, so the Clippers are looking pretty scary. Unfortunately, Jazz were able to take the 1-0 series lead. Now, they will be playing tonight on Thursday between the Clippers and Jazz for Game 2. That game will start at 10 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to be seeing a great Game 2 between those two teams, and expect to see a little bit of a bounce back from Kawhi Leonard.
I was just going to say, he only put up 23 points and 7 rebounds for that game, and those are pretty low numbers for him usually. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially during the regular season, he was putting up more like 30, 35, closer to 40 points a night. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing too. This was a closer game here too, 109 to 112. So I expect this to be a pretty knockdown, drag out series here for these two teams here, because these are some of the top teams out west. You know what I mean? So I think you're really going to see some of the better play here in this series.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, it's going to be exciting series. The 1 and 4th seed, of course, the Clippers 4th and the Jazz number 1. As we'll get on to Wednesday's game, as there was only one. We had the Denver Nuggets going up against the Suns, and the Suns pulled away with a huge victory, putting themselves up 2-0, 123 to 98. As we were talking about Jokic a while ago. He won MVP this year. This game, he did pretty well, 24 points and 13 rebounds. The rest of his team
that's still
was
a double-double.
not
That's
there.
Still his average. That's still his average.
Yep, it is. The rest of the team, though, for the Nuggets just was not there. The next best player was Michael Porter Jr. He only had 11 points, and that was their second best player. On the Suns, on the other hand, Chris Paul had an amazing night, had 15 assists and 0 turnovers with 17 points. Absolutely amazing night for Chris Paul.
Wow, wait. 0 turnovers.
0 turnovers.
Wow. That's, that's pretty... he had 15 assists. Okay, so that's passing the ball to another player so that other player can make the shot. Okay? Yep. Okay, so 0 give man, that's unheard of in the playoffs. Wow. Okay.
On the ball. And this guy is 36 years old, and he's acting like he is a youngster out there alongside the Devin Booker.
How about the fountain of youth?
Yeah, I know, right? Devin Booker also had a great night, having 18 points and 10 rebounds as well. Same with DeAndre Ayton. Just a great night for the Phoenix Suns, giving themselves a 2-0 series lead, which we're going to be getting into another one that has a big old 2 series lead. The game that will be coming up today between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks, as that game will be starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Nets have a 2-0 series lead over Giannis Antetokounmpo, which a lot of people are saying that he's a choke, but when you're going up against the Brooklyn Nets and they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and there's so many great players there in the Nets, it's going to be pretty hard to beat them down.
Didn't they get that guy too from Houston? What was that guy from Houston?
James Harden. James Harden. He was injured in the last game, and somehow the Nets still have a 2-0 series lead. I think James Harden should be back in the lineup tonight. I'm not too sure, but no matter what, it's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah, that's not going to bode well for Milwaukee if James Harden's in, that's for sure. So, okay. But hey, at least Milwaukee's in it, and they're giving it a shot. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So let's get over to our NHL scoreboard. The hockey time, baby. As Tuesday's games, we got 2 on the Tuesday schedule. As Lightning. They win the series 4-1 as they advance on to the 3rd round to, of course, now face the New York Islanders as they defeated the Hurricanes 2-0. Vasilevsky, heard a pretty cool stat over the past couple elimination games. He's shut out the past 3, which is pretty impressive there for Vasilevsky with another beautiful shutout with Point and Ross Colton.
Including this one.
Yep, including this one. And Nedeljkovic, also to his own credit, had a great night as well. 920 save percentage, just was not good enough though as the Hurricanes lost to the Lightning, and Vasilevsky was insane.
Yeah, here's the other thing too. Look, I had Carolina selected, and it was all heart. It really was. It was all heart, and it was all about Rod Brind'Amour, and it was all about this team. Kind of having that warrior mentality, but they're young. Okay, and Nedeljkovic made some rookie mistakes. okay, throughout this series and the previous series, okay, because the Nashville and Carolina series was much closer than it probably should have been.
Yeah.
Okay,
it should have.
they let Nashville hang around. Now, also the other thing too with Carolina is that they were missing Niederreiter. They were missing, players that were major contributors to their team. Okay, and when you're what Trocheck, and they were missing him for a while too.
They were missing Slavin as well, and that's a big
Slavin.
defenseman.
They missed him for almost the whole first series and almost this whole second series. He only came out and played in the last 2 or 3 games there. You know what I mean? So when you're missing those top contributor guys like that, and you have basically a rookie goaltender who's never been in this situation before, I mean, that's a pretty tall ask. Okay, to be honest with you.
It is a very tall ask, but given to Nedeljkovic, he played very well. Like, yes, the Ross Colton goal kind of messed him up a little bit, but if that goal didn't go in, it would have been a 1-0 game for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Right. And, Nedeljkovic deserves a lot of credit for keeping the Hurricanes in this game. Just the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are just as scary as they were last year. Just
quite the juggernaut they are this year. I mean, the fact that Kucherov didn't play this whole year, and was able to kind of, take that rest, because it was funny because last year he played the whole year, and then Stamkos was out for a good portion of, the whole bubble time when they went into the playoffs and all that other stuff. That's when Stamkos was missing. So right when they needed him the most is when he wasn't there. And now this year it was like, well, Stamkos missed the last 16 games of the season. You know what I'm saying? And Tampa Bay they looked like they were kind of waiting for the playoffs.
Perlo always puts it best. He was the big time hater on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay, right.
This team's playing lazy. They're not even trying out there. Now here in the playoffs, they are trying.
Click. Like they just flick the switch and suddenly Tampa Bay is like, okay, geez.
It's like a bullet getting out of the chamber. It just bolted right out of there, especially against the Florida Panthers. And even against the Hurricanes. 5 games against the Hurricanes, which was a team that we were talking about being a team that could go off to the finals, and they lost 5 games.
Yeah.
So
the first 2, they came out and blew the doors off, right, of Carolina in the first 2 games. I mean, you just can't come back. It's hard to come back from that. It really is.
It is. It really is it is really hard to get back, which I guess is a perfect segue to the Golden Knights series, because we're going to be talking about the Avalanche game a little bit, as that game will be tonight on Thursday. The only game for the NHL is that will be happening at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check out our boy Off the Wall Hockey. He will be doing a live stream of it, and make sure to check up on how he's doing. I'm hoping he's all right. But
send him some good vibes, man, because that was a tough loss from Boston last night. Yeah, man.
Yeah, send him some good vibes when you do go there. The Golden Knights, they picked up a big overtime victory in the last one there on Tuesday. With a 3-2 victory over the Avalanche, with a beautiful game-winning goal from Mark Stone. And this game was Avalanche's game until the last little bit of it, where Marchessault started going, and Fleury was just a brick wall throughout the entire game. And once again, McKinnon is still not going, and it seems just like how the Hurricanes were, they're just stuck in a rivet, and it's not looking good for them.
Yeah, and I think that game was not quite as close. Okay, it was Colorado pretty much most of the game.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Until the last little, like you said, the last little bit of that game there, and then suddenly Fleury was stopping everything, and then suddenly Grubauer was like, "Oh, okay, well," and then it went into overtime, and then it wasn't long after that, and then it was over. But this is why I don't have that same confidence with Vegas going into Game 6 tonight, because they really had no business winning that game on Tuesday. They really didn't. Okay, and Colorado really outplayed them. And I think if the same thing happens again with this game tonight, this is going to go to get 7 games.
You see, the thing is with the playoffs this year, we've been seeing so many games where teams deserve to win, but they don't win. And we've been seeing that with a lot of series throughout most of this playoffs, right? I think the biggest example I can remember is every game against the Jets and the Oilers. The Oilers should have won analytically, but the Jets were able to win just because, who knows, their goalie is playing huge and they're somehow able to get those lucky few goals.
Yeah.
And Fleury's been the biggest difference for the Golden Knights throughout this playoff run. He is, every time I watch him out there, I'm like, man, this reminds me of like way back when the Penguins went on cup runs and Fleury was flying all over the place, making huge saves on the Red Wings. Now here he is making some big saves on McKinnon and the rest of them. But the big boys need to step up big time for the Colorado Avalanche if they want to push it to a game 7. And right now, Golden Knights, they have a lot of momentum. You get a big win in overtime, kind of giving, that elimination game to you now.
Coming back to your building.
It's going to be a tough game for Colorado, and it's going to be an exciting one. So be ready for that one.
Now, would this be the first time since the Vegas Golden Knights have faced a game where they could actually advance, because the last couple of years they haven't been able to advance? They've made it to like the first or second round, and they haven't been able to advance out of the second round, except for that year they went to the Cup final.
Yeah, I don't think they've been to the conference finals in a few years because I know they lost in the first round.
Right. I mean, they've made it to the playoffs every year they've been in existence.
Yeah. Last year they lost. No, last year they lost in the conference finals against Dallas. They made it to the conference finals last year as well because they beat Vancouver in 7, and then they lost to Dallas in the conference finals.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. I mean, this is where it all comes down to. You know what I'm saying? And most everybody's either picking Vegas or Colorado to either win the Cup or come out to be the one that does win the Cup or whatever the case is. And this is what the series that everybody was looking for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody was looking for this one, and it's lived up to the hype.
It has been. This was the most anticipated series. I was excited about it, and now seeing it, it's just absolutely amazing. I'm hoping this series goes to 7 because it's just been so entertaining. And then one of the last games, Wednesday's games, which we already kind of talked about, was the Islanders and Bruins, where they won 6-2, as they'll be advancing on to the next round to go up against the Lightning. Of course, the Bruins just didn't, give it that oomph that they need to give it. And Brock Nelson. One quick story about Brock Nelson. Apparently, he had his kid on game 4. I think it was either afterwards or during it. He had his kid and did not get any sleep, I think, before game 4. So Brock Nelson, you're a warrior.
Became a father. Became a father. And then, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man.
No sleep, and he's just been a warrior throughout the series and has been just the top dog in the New York Islanders as he scored a huge 2 goals for the Islanders during this game.
And I'm going to tell you something else. People were like, hey, this Palmieri pickup during the trade deadline was not working out real good for the Islanders after the trade deadline because they didn't have any points. They weren't making, they weren't gelling really well. They weren't fitting in. And boy, that's not the case anymore.
No.
That is definitely not the case anymore. And I think that's when your captain goes down, and that's exactly what they were missing. Anders Lee, Palmieri has stepped in to help fill some of that gap. You know what I mean? And I think that's what has helped the Islanders propel to that point where they have a little bit more scoring depth now, where they're able to just do more than win games 2-1. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're defensive, but now they have the ability to score and put some points up on you.
I think that was the biggest thing that they needed to do was to be able to put up points, and we've been seeing that from almost everyone on the Islanders, and that's why I am pretty excited to see the Tampa Bay versus New York Islanders series once again, because this is going to be an entertaining one. The Islanders have been really good. Barzell's been flying. I mean, even Bouvillier and even Brock Nelson. So it's going to be an exciting series to watch between the Islanders and the Lightning. I will probably be cheering for the Islanders because my old boy Jordan Eberle, former Oiler, definitely going to be cheering for him.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's going to be a
I don't
tough
know.
one. I know Tampa Bay most likely will win, but I mean the Islanders have been proven everyone wrong every time. Everyone was saying that in the first round that they were going to lose. They won against Pittsburgh. Second round, everyone was saying Boston's going to win, and then the Islanders
And they
won once
won.
again.
And they won convincingly.
And everyone's saying Tampa Bay is going to win most likely in this series because, I mean, they're the top dog.
Yeah, and they're the defending champs. You know what I mean? So here we go. They're the defending champs. So, okay.
It's going to be an exciting series. Let's get on to the next thing, which is the MLB. Baby, the scoreboard for the MLB is we got some great games that happened yesterday on Wednesday.
Great to see the Major League Baseball back into full swing, and I mean that like literally in full swing. They're starting to see more of the full capacity in the stands now, which I think you're seeing that surge because people just want to get out.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think people want to get out, enjoy, going out there, having a drink, enjoying the game, whatever it may be.
Watching the game, being in the stand, watching the game, is completely different.
Cheering with other people, and it's kind of back to normalcy, not, driving yourself insane in your house, watching the game by yourself, watching your team lose by yourself. Now you get to do it as a collective. And
right. Special. You get to share the misery.
Or win. Or be in happiness. So it's a mixture.
It's always better to high five a complete stranger after your team scores, right? Than it is, right? I'm all with you. I'm with you. Okay.
Or scream in somebody else's face because you're so happy. Who knows?
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I get it.
So we'll get on to the first one as the Milwaukee Brewers. They took a huge loss to the Cincinnati Reds as the Reds walked away with the 7-3 victory. Brett Anderson walked away with the victory, and same Vladimir Guterres walked away with the loss. The Reds, they pulled away with a big victory here for themselves. Not having the worst record in the world, 29-30. The Brewers have been a bit better looking to get on top of that division for themselves. So a big win there for the Reds.
Right. Well, that's good, man. That's good because although 29-30, there's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games. So
actually, even personally, I've been getting back into baseball since, COVID's been dying down a bit, getting back into my Blue Jays, which has been pretty fun to watch. But yeah, Milwaukee, this is a big loss for them as they were just a 0.5 back of the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. So this is a big loss for them. They are playing the Cincinnati Reds right now. I don't know the exact score, but they are playing them right now. Next up, we got the Chicago Cubs. They won 3-1 against the San Diego Padres. Same thing with them. Of course, we just talked about the Cubs. They're at the top of the division. So this is a big win for them. On the other hand, the Padres, they're not doing too bad themselves right now. I know they have Fernando Tatis Jr., and their team is looking pretty solid as well.
They made a lot of moves in the offseason this year, too, to try to bolster their team as well, too. And it's nice to see the Cubbies up there, you know what I mean? They've been kind of teetering on the precipice there since they've been able to win the championship quite a few years ago. But it's nice to see them being relevant again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you were saying, the Padres have been red hot, 37-27. Manny Machado, he had a huge RBI in this game. No home runs to be talked about, but for the Cubs, Peterson got a big home run for them off of Darvish, who Darvish was actually playing amazing. He had 8 strikeouts and 7 innings of work, and same there with Jake Arrieta. He had 6 strikeouts with 5 innings of work there for the Cubbies. So next up, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks. They got shut out against the Oakland Athletics as Sean Manaea put up a great couple innings of work for the Oakland Athletics as they walked away with a 4-0 victory against the D-backs. The D-backs have been struggling immensely this season as they are 20-43. Well, the Oakland Athletics, they've been pretty hot this season with a 37-26 record, leading the AL West, which is surprising to say because usually the Oakland Athletics are usually near the bottom. But the last little bit, the Oakland Athletics, they have been pretty good, and especially in this game where Manaea was pretty strong for the A's.
Yeah, that's a good ERA there for a nice bout of work there. Good amount of pitches he threw for that game, so that's pretty good. It's nice to see them leaving them out there now for more than just an inning or two. You know what I mean? Where you're starting to see these starting pitchers now are starting to play more deeper into the game. Like what they were doing in the playoffs the last couple of years, where starting pitchers would come out and they would only rotate and only be out there for like 30 some pitches.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's nice to see that these pitchers are starting to get a lot more work now. And Oakland Athletics, you're right. They haven't been all that good, but as of late, they've been playing really well and doing really well this season. They also went out and made some moves this offseason as well to get some guys too. So nice to see them coming back around.
Yeah, it always is. It's always is. I remember watching Moneyball, and I just became a fan of the A's after that. And ever since then, it's always good to see that team be a bit successful here and there.
Exactly. Being relevant. Yep. That's what we like to see, being relevant.
So the next game, we had a lot of runs in this one. The Washington Nationals versus the Tampa Bay Rays, 9-7.
This is a football score.
Yeah.
Right? Tampa Bay Rays scored a touchdown. Was Tom Brady on the team? Right?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Tom Brady. Did Tom Brady throw a touchdown to one of? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
man. Jan Soto there for the Nationals. He was just smacking balls all night long. He put in 3 runs himself, especially a big home run in the first inning, and then also Zimmerman getting a home run for himself as well, and a couple for the Rays as well. As it seemed like there was a lot of pitchers out there as well, as there was a lot of runs and a lot of hits to be registered between both of the teams.
Boy, that was not a good day for pitchers' ERAs. I would not have wanted to be one of the pitchers in the rotation for that one.
Of course, this is a big kind of game for me because as a Blue Jays fan, seeing the Rays lose means that the Blue Jays have a good chance of getting top of the division, which most likely they won't because the Rays are way too good this year. But the Rays, big loss there for them. They still have a nice chokehold on the top of the division as they have a 1.5 lead over the Red Sox and the top of the AL East. The last game that we're going to be talking about is the Cleveland Indians going up against the St. Louis Cardinals as they picked up the victory 8-2, which is another big score one. Is the Indians they fell short. They're right now second in the AL Central with 2 games back of the White Sox. For the Cardinals, they have not been doing very good either. They're 3 games back of the Cubs with a 32-30 record. So this is a big win for them against the Indians. Apparently the Cardinals are going up against the Cubs. They are going to be going up against the Cubs on June 11th. So that will be a big one, especially since they're only 3 games back of the Cubs. So that will be a big series that they got ahead of them.
Exactly. And, that's the other thing, too, I like about what baseball does that I wish that the hockey guys would do. They started doing it there towards the end where they were playing a set of games against each team back-to-back nights or every other night. I would much rather see the NHL do that, like what baseball does, because now you're going to see St. Louis and the Cubs, or St. Louis is going to play a couple of games. You know what I mean? Against one of their rivals that potentially could alter who's going to be the top of the division. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of stuff that I would like to see hockey adopt more of what the Major League Baseball is doing. So, but excited to see St. Louis take that win there over Cleveland. Cleveland's trying to come back, trying to play. They've been pretty good the last couple of years, but they're trying to make the playoffs again this year. So it'll be interesting to see. There's still a lot of baseball left to play, though.
Yeah, there it is. They're only 2 games back of a solid wild card spot, which Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox hold up. So most likely, unless the White Sox, play down and the Indians start playing a bit better, then maybe they could take a top of the division. But the Indians are really going to have to play their hardest if they're going to be wanting to get into the either one of the wildcard spots or one of the division spots, which we're going to be talking about some upcoming games on the Thursday's schedule, as there's already a couple happening, of course. But we got the Colorado Rockies going up against the Miami Marlins at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. We also got my Blue Jays going up against the Chicago White Sox, as you're going to be seeing Ryu going up against a Kunakal, and that will be at 8:10 p.m. Eastern. And then last but not least, we got Kansas City Royals going up against the Oakland A's, and that will be happening at 9:40 p.m. Eastern. So some great baseball games coming up on the Thursday schedule.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. Oh, and also don't forget about the Game 6 tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. That game is going to be in Vegas, and I believe that's a 9. Is it a 9:10 start?
9 p.m. Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
9 p.m. start. Okay, so that means that they'll be dropping the puck at 9:10. So
go check out our boy Off the Wall Hockey. He'll be live streaming this game, and if you want some insane good play-by-play, I would definitely check out John from Off the Wall Hockey. He'll be giving you everything you need for this Avalanche versus Golden Knights game.
Exactly. And I'll be checking this game out too, for sure. And thank you all very much for checking us out. Man, this has been awesome. We love doing this stuff. Thanks, Payton, for a great show.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
this was an amazing show. I can't wait to do many more.
Many more. We want to try to do this during the 5 o'clock hour. We'd like to try to drop this between 5 and 6, so that you guys can enjoy a little bit of news and a little bit of fun, a little bit of Payton on the radio. You know, you can't go wrong with a little bit of Payton. Also, you got to check him out too, because he does really good play-by-play as well too. So you also got to check out his channel. He does some really great stuff on his channel, so check him out. He's also on the SteelFlyers Network at steelflyers.com/link/Payton on the radio, so you can check out all his stuff there. You can check out all of our stuff at the SteelFlyers All Sports Network at www.steelflyers.com. Thank you all very much for checking us out, man.